Hello, and welcome to ADHD Support Talk Radio. My name is Tara McGillicuddy, and I am the host of ADHD Support Talk Radio. I am also an adult ADD and ADHD productivity coach and the founder and director of ADDclasses.com. And at ADDclasses.com, we provide virtual support and education to people affected by ADD and ADHD. We offer free webinars. We have an extensive ADD audio library with over 150 courses, and we also offer more in-depth support programs. And you can learn more about ADDclasses.com by going to the website www.addclasses.com. And with that, I would like to welcome back Lynne Edris to ADHD Support Talk Radio. In just a moment, we're going to be discussing mindset, negativity, and adult ADHD. But before we begin the discussion, Lynne, can you let our listeners know a bit about yourself and how they get in touch with you?
Sure. Thanks for having me again. As Tara said, my name is Lynne Edris. I'm an ADD coach, and I specialize in working with professionals who are struggling to reach their potential due to the typical challenges, associated with ADHD: disorganization, time management, procrastination, weak follow-through, all that pretty typical ADD stuff. I am also a woman with ADD myself, so I've been where many of my clients are, and I've gone from living in pretty much a constant state of chaos and overwhelm to living a life of much more calm and success. So my job is to help my clients start firing on all cylinders in all their areas of life so they can have more time and more energy for what they love. If you'd like to learn more about me, what I do, the products and programs that I offer as well, you can check out my website at www.coachingadvantages.com, and that's coachingaddvantages.com, little play on words. And you're welcome to contact me there as well if you have any questions or, any kind of follow-up on this podcast.
Okay, great. So glad to have you back. And I haven't done a lot of radio shows this past fall, so I want to get back on track. And you emailed me to follow up, and I said, yeah, let's come back. I want to have you back on. And I said, let's talk about negativity in mindset, because as we're recording this right now, it's right after the 2016 presidential election, and not everybody, but there's so many people who are just in this negative mindset, who are stuck in negativity. And it's so important for those affected by ADHD, who have ADD and ADHD, to understand how much negativity can really impact their lives. And so I thought I'd have you come on and talk about it, because I know you and I have similar views when it comes to this. So where do you think we should begin, Lynne, when it comes to talking about negativity and mindset?
I think it's always good to kind of start at sort of the why. It's mindset in general, even not talking about all the current, negativity and energy around what's happening, in our world and in our country politically and socially. But in general, mindset is really important, but especially for those of us with ADHD. We tend to be very sensitive and very empathetic. We tend to be sensitive to other people's energy. We tend to be sensitive to other people's moods. Some of us are more than just a little empathetic. We have sort of an empath tendency where we can take on other people's energy and other people's moods as our own. So we let other people's moods and other people's, stuff change the way we feel and change our own energy and our own mood and our own sort of, headspace, so to speak. We also have trouble with emotional regulation. That difficulty modulating or regulating our emotions is one of the hallmark characteristics of ADHD. So emotional volatility can be a problem. And, along with impulsivity, which is, for every ADHDer, I think there tends to be some element of impulsivity. I don't have that sort of the big impulsivity. I'm not going to, go base jumping anytime soon. But, I will have a tendency, if I'm not real careful, to blurt, to say things that, without really thinking. So verbal impulsivity can be a problem. And all of that tends to lead to, some stress, some anxiety, which, clinical anxiety is a common coexisting condition for those of us with ADHD as well. It just, there are so many ADHD characteristics that really make mindset so important. We have a tendency toward rumination where, a thought or a worry or some, sort of negative notion gets stuck. And it I would say it's kind of becomes like the snowball that gets bigger and bigger as it rolls down the hill. It's stuck. We pay attention to it. the negative energy tends to have more, or negative thoughts tend to have sort of more energy around them. So they tend to be a way that some of us may even self-medicate, for, so to speak, find ourselves feeling, almost soothed and almost, like more focused when we're concentrating on, things that have a lot of energy around them. And that, the negative stuff tends to be much more sort of energy laden than positive stuff. And, all of those things can really, really wreak havoc on your ADHD challenges, how your particular ADHD symptoms show up. So it's really important to think about what your mindset is and what your focus is and how it's affecting you. We have an expression that, we always say in ADHD coaching, and I'm sure it's not exclusive to ADHD coaching because it's kind of like, the premise of neurobiology, but what you pay attention to grows. And that's true, if you want to, if you're into like the metaphysical stuff, the law of attraction and all of that, that's part of where that can be related. But just in terms of how your attention works, how you notice things, what you pay attention to, you notice more of. And I always use, kind of generic examples, with my clients. So if you've ever been in maybe a shopping mall or a store and all of a sudden you notice the song that's playing in the background, it feels like it gets louder. It feels like it gets more clear. It feels like it sort of, expands, so to speak. The music didn't get louder. They didn't tune it in better, most likely. It's just that you noticed it and now that's what you're paying attention to. The one that always sort of gets me is when you're looking for something, I'm not a big shopper, and I don't love malls or, kind of big crowded shopping places. So I'm a fan of the divide and conquer. So my husband will go one way, my kids will go another, and I'll go and try to get it out of the way as fast as possible. So when it comes time to meet again, I'm looking for the blue shirt, the dark-haired guy in the blue shirt. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for blue shirts. All of a sudden, the thing that you're looking for, in this case, the blue shirt, you notice that there's blue everywhere, It's not that all of a sudden, people have emerged in blue shirts. It's just that you're noticing blue, you're paying attention to blue, and blue seems to sort of stand out to you. That's how our attention works. What we pay attention to attracts more attention-wise of like things. That goes for negative energy, it goes for positive energy, it goes for gratitude, it goes for how you look at the things that you're doing and that you're working on, or the things that you're challenged by. So if your focus is always on your challenges, you're going to see more of your challenges. If your focus is on perfection and not the progress that you're making and not the effort you're putting towards something, you're going to see the gap between where you are now and that perfection. So, it's so important to really pay attention to, where you're choosing to focus, to find ways to shift your focus, find ways to force yourself out of, negative mindset, out of perfection, out of all the things we don't want more of, and to refocus and redirect ourselves to the positive things. And there's so many ways, that we can do that. But that whole choosing where your mindset is a really powerful and a really important concept that we work on a lot in coaching.
Yeah, and you brought up the word choosing, and I think a lot of people right now are listening and they're like, wait a minute, I'm not choosing this. This is just happening to me. I have no control. I'm in the negative right now because the world's a crappy place or whatever. But I think we do choose this, but I think becoming aware, bringing awareness to the fact that you're choosing it, and you can, choose not to get sucked into the negativity. You can turn the news off. You can, not go on Facebook for 3 days, or, you can choose to, live in gratitude, to practice gratitude. I think that's the thing, that we're bombarded by negativity, and we really are. I mean, there's just in general, we're bombarded by it, but we can stop, take a few breaths and make that conscious choice to continue that way or to go down a different path and, become more positive, add more, positivity to our life, or just to start by reducing the negativity.
I agree 100%. And I've had so many conversations about this over the last couple of weeks. It's been such an emotional time for so many people, so many clients on both sides of sort of the political debates. But it really is about a choice. You can choose at any given moment to change, what's going on in your individual corner of the world. I mean, you can change, you get to choose what you focus on, and choosing not to do anything is still a choice. Choosing to stay sucked into social media, choosing to engage in, the negative stuff, choosing to let it bother you, choosing to let that be sort of the predominant thought pattern, is a choice. Choosing not to change is another choice. Choosing instead to, turn off the iPhone, back away from the TV, shut down the computer, and, spend time with your family and your friends and the people that get you, to think about the things that you have to be grateful for. I mean, I'm a big proponent of gratitude stuff in general. I don't usually frame it that way, but just reminding yourself of all the good stuff that you have in your world. The fact that you have a roof over your head, the fact that you have food that you can put on your plate, the fact that the people that you love are here, are healthy, are no matter what's going on, there's always something good to find. So forcing yourself to look for the good, as hard as it feels like it is to do sometimes, is really, that's all that gratitude is. It's just choosing to focus on the good stuff and what you have to be grateful for than the other stuff. So when you focus on gratitude, again, what you pay attention to grows. You notice more. Your attention starts to focus more and see more of the good stuff. Just like when you focus on progress, I'm always telling my clients, focus on progress, not perfection. When you're focusing on progress, you're going to notice more of the progress that you're making all the time. It's there, but if you're focused on sort of that gap between your intentions and your performance, then all you're going to see is gap. You're going to see lack, and you're going to see more of it. But if you can focus on, that slow incremental movement, if you can focus on the effort that you're putting forth and be grateful, for yourself for doing that, you're going to notice more of that too. It's so important. And right now, I think it's really important that we all sort of, it's such an overused metaphor, but, put on your own oxygen mask. Self-care is a must for everybody, I think, especially in times like this and in times of stress. But good self-care is essential. It's absolutely foundational to managing ADHD symptoms. So you've got to eat regularly and healthfully. You've got to exercise and move every day. You've got to make sure you're getting regular and sufficient sleep, as hard as that is for some of us, and actively work to manage stress and actively work, to work on that sort of that perspective stuff. And, follow the medical advice of your providers. Take your meds when you're supposed to, that sort of thing. The good, self-care is one of the simplest things you can do to improve ADHD. It's not always easy, but it's one of the simplest things you can do. And I think along with that is a focus on gratitude. You've got to pay attention to what's good, so you can see more and notice more of what's good and put things in perspective. Whatever's going on right now in your world is just that. It's right now. And in the grand scheme of your life, not even thinking like in the bigger picture, in the grand scheme of time, it really is a flash in the pan. The big blue ball keeps turning, so to speak, and you will be okay. We will all be okay. And focusing on what's okay helps that other stuff, not feel so, I don't want to say big, because it is big. It's important stuff, but it doesn't need to be all-encompassing and really kind of swallow you whole. And I think,
I think that's the thing, is balance.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah, we're not saying don't to pretend like stuff isn't happening or ignoring it. What we're saying is to add more of the positive, add more of the gratitude, because what Lynne said, what you pay attention to grows. And I want to live in a happy world. I want more peace in my life. I want more happiness. And in order for me to get that, I have to pay attention to more of those things in my life, or add them in, and, reduce all the negative crap.
You do. You've got to tune in, right? You've got to tune in to what's good to be able to see what's good, Kind of think about it like an old analog radio, right? You got to dial in. You got to dial into the right station. If you want to see more and you want to feel better about where things are, it doesn't mean, you've got to take on some, rose-colored glasses and do the whole Pollyanna, everything's perfect thing, because it's not. I mean, the world's not perfect. We're human. This world is comprised of human beings. By nature, we're flawed. But that doesn't mean that there's not lots of good stuff that you can be looking for and you can be noticing in your very own, in your very own world and your very own life and around you. If nothing more than, you woke up today and you are breathing and you're able to keep on and make it through the day. Sometimes that's got to be enough. And, depression and, problems with mood volatility, anxiety, those are real problems for a lot of us with ADHD. They are very common coexisting conditions. So if you feel, depressed or despondent or like your anger's getting in your way, get help. Talk to your doctor, talk to your pastor, your rabbi, or your other whatever faith leader, you can connect with. Talk with your family, talk with your friends, talk with the people who support you and care about you. See a psychologist or a counselor or a coach. Take care of yourself. That's all part of taking care of yourself. And don't let yourself be pulled under by negativity, negative mindset, and all of that, all of that sort of ugliness that can be around us if we choose to, kind of over-focus on it.
I say be careful about who and what you allow into your life. Like there's support groups for ADHD. Some of them can be great, but if you go to a support group, whether it's online or in person, and 90% of the time people are just venting and complaining about negative stuff, more than likely that's going to bring you down instead of bringing you up. So maybe when you go to look, whether it's an ADD group or any other group, maybe look for something that focuses more on improving a situation, adding more joy, so just in the people that are in your life. I know sometimes it's hard because they're, people we have to work with or they're family members, but just pay attention to how those people are acting, what their energy is. And even if, you can't totally cut them out of your life, you can minimize the time you spend with them. Or you can be the one that if someone's just complaining all the time, you change the subject and bring up something positive. So there are different ways that, we can combat this negativity and mindset and move into a more positive mindset.
Definitely. To a certain extent, you've sort of got to protect yourself, right? Your attention and your focus and your mindset and all of that is kind of tied together, and that's sort of precious real estate. You've got to be really careful about what you allow to sort of fester there. And we do have choice in terms of what we pay attention to. We do have choice. We have a more difficult time regulating it than other people do, but we do have choice in where we let things hang, what kinds of things we let hang around. We have choice in terms of, not whether or not we redirect our thoughts, whether or not we choose to change, sort of change the channel and change the channel literally and change the channel sort of proverbially and walk away. And, it all comes back to choice. And I always tell my clients, like, just because you think something, just because a thought occurs to you doesn't mean it deserves to be there, doesn't mean it needs to stick around. Sometimes we've got a question, we've got a challenge, and we've got to sort of dismiss that stuff and choose to replace the thoughts with something more positive, something that's in our, more in our better interest, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people are probably listening right now, so like, this sounds good, but it's overwhelming.
Yada, yada.
And it's hard to change. But the thing is, there are so many great resources out there now that focus on a positive mindset or manifestation, co-creation. So there are things, that maybe just one thing that you can do after listening today is look for resources that are more positive. Co-creation, that's a new word that I don't know if it's a new word or if it's just my mindset's changing, so it's a word that I keep seeing lately. But that's kind of what they're saying is that we're co-creating our reality, that it's not just the world, that we're joining forces and we're creating something. So that might be something to take a look at, what a resource on co-creation, manifestation, positive affirmations. I mean, even if you don't like them, you can just try them out, something new. And the weird thing, not weird, but one thing I noticed when I first started shifting from being, I wouldn't say completely negative, but from that negative mindset to shifting to more positive, there were some resources, some people that I found, and I just felt like, ooh, these people are too positive. So that might be something to, realize that it's okay if these people kind of turn you off at first, be okay with that and just be in that, just listen, pay attention to it, and it's okay if you feel awkward or they feel fake, because they're just
or if it makes you want to gag
energy than you are.
Right. It's okay, right? We're all
your instinct. I mean, some people are phony, and that, and they're totally full of crap. but some people it's just their energy is at a different level than you are, so it feels kind of weird. But I'd say this is as crazy as the atmosphere is right now. It's also a great time for change, to add more positivity, to kind of take things on a different path. And, you know, I hope Lynne and I have helped you somewhat by talking about this.
I hope so too. And it really is, you know, mindset and positivity, gratitude, you know, are so important in every aspect of what we do. You know, how we see our lives, what we, you know, what we notice. I think, you know, the more sort of you start to redirect your energy toward positivity, the more sort of similar, I don't know how to even say it, like-minded people, other people who try to focus on positivity, are you're going to notice them. You know, you're going to pay attention to them. They're going to start to stand out more to you. And, you know, not in like sort of a metaphysical law of attraction kind of a way, but you're going to be more interested in, more attracted to spending time with people like that. And that all sort of reinforces itself. You know, sort of positive begets positive, negative begets negative, and it's, you know, you get to choose which side of the hill you let the ball fall on. It's, you know, bad stuff happens, you know, crap happens, and life is not always easy. It, you know, actually life is rarely easy if you think about it. But you can still choose where you focus. So you can, you know, you can wallow for a minute or two, but I think, you know, we all need to, you know, sort of pull ourselves out of it and choose to see, you know, what good can come, what good there is, and focus more on, you know, what we have to be grateful for.
Yeah.
So lecture
and
over.
I mean, try it. Try the gratitude. I mean, wake up in the morning and, or, you know, maybe after you go to the bathroom, have a cup of coffee and your brain's actually working. Think of something that you're grateful for. It might be the roof over your head. It might be the fact that I made my coffee without spilling it or something like that. But just start off your day with something positive. What are you thankful for? What are you grateful for? And think it, write it down, however, you know, you it's best for you. But you'll notice that after a bit, your life will start to improve from those simple things. And the more great things you think about, the more you're grateful for, the better your life will be.
Definitely.
Do you agree, Lynne?
I think that's a great, definitely. And that's a great way to go to sleep, too. That's one of the things I often tell clients. Like, and it doesn't need to be hard. You know, people talk about gratitude journals, and that's a beautiful concept. But, you know, by the time my head hits the pillow, you know, if I can silence the mental gerbils enough to write in a journal, you know, that's wonderful. Yeah. But it doesn't always happen. So, you know, when things are at their worst, or, you know, when you're not feeling great about either, you know, how you're doing, how, you know, or the world around you, or whatever's going on in your life, just think of, you know, I always tell clients, like 3 to 5 things that were positive from today. Either 3 to 5 things that you did well, 3 to 5 things that went the right way, you know, 3 to 5 things you have to be grateful for. You know, not 3 to 5 of each, but like all together. And some days, you know, it's got to be enough that, you know, I didn't burn the house down. Everybody went to sleep with food in their stomachs, and, you know, I lived to you know, make it through another day, you know, and the really soft pillow under my head. That's some days that's all you can come up with. That's still better, and it's still a much more positive note to fall asleep to than today sucked. You know, everything went wrong, you know, and I can't get a break, all those kinds of things that we can really, like, you know, let spin and really let become entrenched. And it's amazing. So I don't know, maybe there's like a biological reason for it, but I really think that when you go to sleep thinking something, you know, your last couple thoughts are something positive, I think it makes it sort of stick differently. I don't know if that's my imagination or wishful thinking or what, but I think that, you know, when I go to sleep thinking about something, especially something positive, it really does, you know, affect me more. And it's a nice way to fall asleep and, you know, quiet those mental gerbils and, you know, help yourself relax and drift off.
Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on today's show, Lynne. And before we get going, do you have any final thoughts? And could you make sure you give out your website information again?
Sure. I think just, you know, the takeaway is be careful what you allow to be the center of your attention, and see what happens when you start to make choices and you start to direct that. I think, you know, most of us who you know, practice that kind of, you know, I don't know what you want to call it, like, you know, sort of metacognition, like awareness of your thoughts and your ability to change that. That's sort of a big term for just, you know, self-awareness and thought awareness. And it's really amazing what you can change in your life and really what you can change about how you feel about your life. It's just, I think it's one of those kind of foundational things we work on in coaching that we don't talk about a whole lot. It's tools and tips and tricks and systems and all of that stuff are a really important part of what we do, helping you figure out how to do things in ways that are easier for you. But if your head is focused on the negative, if your head is focused on your challenges, your weaknesses, I can't do this, I suck, same stuff, different day, I'm never going to get it together, I can't get a break, all that stuff, no amount of tips and tricks and solutions and systems are going to stick. So we do, that sort of the reframing and the perspective shift is an important part of what we do in coaching. So, pay attention and see what starts to change for you. Again, my name's Lynne Edris. You can learn more about me, what I do, the products, programs, and the one-on-one coaching that I offer at my website. It's www.coachingaddvantages.com, and you're welcome to schedule a complimentary phone consultation, which you can do right from my website, to talk about how I can help you start to shift your mindset and really start firing on all cylinders too.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Lynne Edris, and thank you everyone for taking the time to listen to ADHD Support Talk Radio. And if you are listening to us on iTunes, Stitcher, or Google Play, be sure to stop by our website, ADHDSupportTalk.com. Thanks again.